Remember when we were kids and adults told us, don't worry, it's just a kid's movie? Yeah, they lied. Because some of the movies we grew up on weren't just a little weird, they were straight up horror films wearing a colorful disguise. And somehow we all just accepted it. Today we're gonna revisit the childhood classics that absolutely should have come with a therapy voucher. Let's start with Coraline, the movie that single-handedly made buttons terrifying. On the surface, it's a cute stop-motion film about a girl who finds a magical alternate world. Fun, right? Wrong. Because the other mother, she's not just creepy, she's a full-blown predator. Think about it. She lures children in with a perfect fantasy version of their life, and then slowly traps them forever. That's not a kid's movie villain, that's psychological horror. And then you got the buttons. Sewing buttons into your eyes is such a casually insane concept, and it's wild this movie was marketed next to Pixar DVDs. Also have the tunnel scene, the way the world decays, the ghost children, and then there's the other father, which honestly might be the most quietly disturbing part of the entire movie. At first he's goofy, cheerful. He's basically the fun parent upgrade. But the more you watch it, the more clear it becomes. He's not just controlled, he's deteriorating. The other mother is literally starving him. He gets thinner and weaker, more desperate every time we see him. His smile starts to feel forced, like he's barely holding himself together in a kid's movie. So now on top of everything else, we have a character slowly wasting away, being kept alive just enough to serve someone else's illusion. And that's not just creepy, that's straight up horror storytelling, hidden in plain sight. This is less family adventure and more baby's first descent into cosmic dread. And yet we all watched it at the age of like 8. Yeah, seems fine, right? Let's move on to Willy Wonka. Well, both versions, because somehow they're both unhinged in completely different ways.
The suspense is terrible.
He's gonna go this time.
I hope it'll last.
Gene Wilder's Wonka? He's smiling, but you know he's seen things. The tunnel scene alone feels like a horror short film that accidentally got edited into a musical. There's flashing images, screaming, and Wonka's just escalating. And then there's the children. Every kid who enters the factory gets picked off one by one like it's a slasher film. Augustus, drowned in chocolate. Violet, inflated like a balloon. Mike, shrunk into oblivion.
Stop, don't come back.
Veruca gets dropped down into a literal incinerator. After Veruca gets labeled as a bad egg and dropped down the chute, Wonka casually mentions that the chute leads to
the incinerator. But don't worry, we only light it on Tuesdays.
Meaning there's a very real chance that that child is about to be burned alive. And everyone just stands there doing mental math. And Wonka, completely calm, no urgency, no panic, just mild curiosity about the schedule. It's played like a joke, but if you actually think about it for more than 2 seconds, it's one of the darkest lines in the entire movie. The backstory with the dentist father, the uncanny valley energy.
Okay then.
The way he interacts with kids like he's never met a human before. Now let's talk about James and the Giant Peach. This movie starts with child abuse and ends with a child sailing across the ocean in a giant fruit with human-sized insects. And somehow that's not even the weirdest part. The animation style alone feels like a fever dream. Half live action, half stop motion, all deeply unsettling. You've got a giant spider who's friendly, but he's still a giant spider. A centipede who's constantly screaming, a mechanical shark attacking a floating peach. And we need to talk about how this movie opens, because it does not ease you in. James's parents are killed by a runaway rhino. Not metaphorically, not implied off screen in a gentle way. A literal, storm-born nightmare rhino appears out of nowhere and kills them. And the movie never lets that go. It follows James. There are multiple moments where the rhino appears, looming in the clouds, chasing him, haunting him, like this constant reminder of his trauma. So now, on top of everything else, this kid isn't just on a whimsical adventure, he's processing grief while being stalked by the thing that killed his parents. Again, a children's movie. Totally normal stuff. And then there's the aunts. They're just straight up horror villains. Child neglect, emotional abuse. This movie doesn't ease you into its weirdness. It throws you in the deep end and says, swim. Matilda is one of those movies people remember as wholesome. It is not. This is a story about a child genius trapped in a deeply dysfunctional home with parents who borderline despise her. And then we get to Miss Trunchbull. She's not just mean, she's terrifying. This woman swings kids by their pigtails, locks them in a literal torture chamber called the Chokey.
It's better than being put in the Chokey. Chokey?
She throws a child across a field like it's the Olympics. Like, at what point did we decide this was normal children's entertainment? And yet, as kids, we were just like, ha 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 ha, chocolate cake scene, which, by the way, is also horrifying. That scene is basically psychological warfare disguised as a dessert. Eat the entire cake or else. This is not a school, this is a low-budget dystopia. So why are these movies so dark? What was going on here? Why were so many kids' movies secretly terrifying? A lot of it comes from the source material. A lot of these films are based off books by Roald Dahl, and Dahl did not write safe, sanitized stories. He wrote stories where adults were cruel, consequences were harsh, and the world wasn't always fair. And honestly, that's what kind of made them stick, because these movies didn't talk down to kids, they challenged them. They introduced fear in a controlled way. Coraline teaches you about manipulation. Wonka teaches consequences rather aggressively. Matilda shows resilience in a broken environment, but also they absolutely traumatized a generation just a little bit. And here's the thing. The darkness is why these movies are still iconic to this day. If Coraline was just a happy, alternative, universal story, no one would care. If Willy Wonka was just a normal factory tour, it'd be boring. The fear gave these movies weight. It made them memorable. It made them feel real. Because as a kid, the world can feel scary and unpredictable, and these movies captured that perfectly. They just wrap it in bright colors and catchy songs so parents wouldn't notice. So yeah, maybe those movies weren't as innocent as we thought, but honestly, that's what makes them great. They didn't just entertain us, they unsettled us. And sometimes that's the stuff that sticks with you the longest, imprinting on your brain. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed, drop a like and a subscribe. It would mean the most. If you made it this far, comment Unsettled for a shout out in the next video.